Gaming, America's favorite pastime. More popular than The Office, more popular than football, heck, it's more popular than sleep. But it's expensive. Not just for gamers, but for developers too. Last of Us Part 2 is estimated to have cost $220 million. Meanwhile, Spider-Man 2 is around $300 million, and GTA 6 is blowing everyone away at an estimated $2 billion budget. Now, these aren't exact figures, but it's impressive and shocking to say the least. And I'll be shocked to see how long this will last. We're reaching a point where blockbuster gaming is becoming more and more of a risk. For developers, you have to sell millions of your game, or at least sell thousands of cosmetics before you could dream of making any return. And for the players, games are getting more expensive by the day. Not just with it going from $60 to $70, but now for most AAA games, you'll be gagging on the amount of cosmetics and DLC they're shoving down your throat. These habits aren't sustainable for really anyone. Eventually, the AAA bubble will burst, and gaming may perhaps come to an end. Of course, that's the extreme side. I by no means intend to say in this video that gaming will die. That's like saying movies would die. It's not happening. However, I do mean to say that there's a chance gaming of the future will be unrecognizable from today. You won't be playing Call of Duty shooty pew pew on the Xbox Series whatever, or Spider-Man 7 It's Morbin Time on the PlayStation 8. But maybe you'll be playing your dream game on the Nintendo Switch 3, that you'll learn how to develop with the help of today's sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University. Take the necessary steps forward for your future at one of the country's most innovative universities to learn everything you need to make your dream games and projects a reality with their degree in game development. From the three major programming languages of C#, C++, and Java. You'll be able to make flawless user experiences and make anything come to life with 2D and 3D modeling, textures, and NPC design. SNHU has crazy affordable tuition. So, if you want to help support me and this channel, as well as your own future, make sure to click the link in the description or go to snhu.edu/arctic and sign up today to see everything you need to know about their game dev program and dozens more if you're interested. Again, go to snhu.edu/arctic. Sign up today. Thanks again for SNHU for sponsoring this video. To start off the conversation of the future of gaming, we should probably look at the company who's tugging onto the past the hardest. That's right, Jerry. Nintendo has been here since the beginning, and in the grand scheme of things, hasn't changed all that much since the 90s. They've still got their little portable Game Boy, or rather Game Man. The controller still matches the SNES with a few triggers to spare, and Link is still hot. Most importantly above all, Nintendo is still very much so a closed-off company that keeps the second-party games close and their first-party games closer. Meanwhile, the competition can't last 30 seconds without putting Hi-Fi Rush on the Switch or Horizon Forbidden West on PC. PlayStation is rather new to this, but Xbox has been an absolute pro at getting rid of absolutely every console exclusive. Now, are these necessarily bad things? No, certainly not. It makes gaming available to everyone, possibly for far cheaper, and best of all, it ideally eliminates all console wars. Of course, this is the bad timeline, so it only made things worse. But hey, we tried. Alongside Nintendo holding on to their exclusive content, thankfully they haven't showed many signs of abandoning physical media. I believe with the Switch 2, they may start to change the story in later digital models, but so far, they have been consistently pioneering physical discs and cartridges. And if you don't get physical games, well, make sure to have an SD card because Nintendo loves providing as little storage as possible. Hopefully to encourage the use of cartridges, but more likely to encourage you to suffer. Now, yes, that's very true. Physical media is expensive to develop, not necessarily on the grand scheme of AAA developers, but especially for those small indies out there. And it's always going to be more profitable to supply games digitally. So why on earth is that a bad thing? Well, don't you remember that one time when you were bullied in the 3rd grade and Xbox and PlayStation promised they would protect you from the big mean black void of scratch games and lost discs? Huh, me neither. But first and foremost, that's what digital aimed to solve. But inevitably, those big AAA companies will erase everything you love and make you buy it back again. But they can't do that. We already paid for these things and we own them. Well, actually, you don't own a thing. You have a limited license to use their product, and if they decide to revoke it, or maybe one of their servers randomly disables your legitimate license, you could completely lose access until you purchase another one. In fact, things like this have already started happening. When Mojang forced Minecraft owners to switch from a legacy Mojang account to a Microsoft account, possibly tens of thousands of accounts were lost, and will no longer be able to play Minecraft until they purchase another game with a new license. This will happen, whether intentionally or not, with any game that forces account authentication. GTA 5, if they lose your account, well, you gotta buy the game again, or beg and pray that they might transfer the license to another account. But don't count on it. Even Xbox and PlayStation, when they shut down their servers one day, and I say when and not if because inevitably it will happen, even if it's a century from now, you will lose every single digital game purchased. It doesn't matter if your console works, unless it's hacked, you may never be able to boot up those games once owned by you, because there's no server to prove you owned it. Now, there are servers and stores on PC that provide a solution to this problem, but with the cost of piracy becoming much easier, and we know for a fact, no AAA developer will ever let that happen. So, what's the solution? Get rid of owning games entirely. No physical media, no half-owned digital media, and certainly no DRM-free GOG media. Of course, as we have it right now, the future of gaming is streaming and subscription services. They're turning Fortnite and Mario Kart into Netflix. Don't believe me? Well, look at what Xbox has been up to for nearly the past decade. They've bought nearly all the biggest third-party developers while on the side working on this little subscription known as Game Pass, where you can get all their games for $10 a month. And get this, you don't even need an Xbox to play them. If you've got good enough Wi-Fi, you could play Halo 3 on a 2008 Windows 7 laptop. But if you don't have good Wi-Fi, then go ahead and buy one of their consoles, or heck, screw it, buy a desktop PC and play all the same games there. All you need is $10 from your paycheck and games. Unlimited games are available instantly. So, what's PlayStation doing? Well, recently, it seems they've discovered Microsoft's Gambit, and I guess they're trying to get a piece of the pie. And PlayStation Plus includes basically all of their first-party games. However, on the streaming side of things, it's not going to be quite as fast or as cheap as Xbox. Of course, they're not nearly as rich as Microsoft, so the difference in quality is to be expected. However, Google and Amazon are rich, so what did they do? Mostly just lose a bunch of money. Google officially released their cloud gaming platform Stadia in November 2019. Since I didn't really care too much about it when the service released, I don't have the best verifiable information. But it seems it had a few subscription tiers that gave varying amounts of games, but never all the games available, so you had one subscription to access the service, followed by additional charges for specific games. And as we'll see, this is the exact problem we had in the first place with giving players temporary licenses. But now, even worse since you don't even get the option to download these games on your own hardware. Like I said, Amazon also joined the world of cloud gaming. And it's playable, but let's just say you won't be hitting any clips in Fortnite, which you can actually play for free with Amazon Prime, alongside a handful of other games. However, with an additional $10 a month, you can play dozens more games. So it's not exactly a bad deal, especially considering the hurdles you face with Game Pass requiring certain controllers, and it's far easier to access than Stadia. Why is that? Well, in January 2023, Google officially fumbled the bag and left the gaming market, and with it, shut down all their Stadia servers, just as I said would happen to everyone else. Fortunately, Google refunded all game and hardware purchases made with the service, likely to entirely avoid lawsuits and general outlash. However, I believe there's a strong chance they could have beaten lawsuits against them, but because so few people actually used the service, it was far easier to refund it all. However, in the far future when Sony, Nintendo, or Xbox drop connection to their servers, they'll have far more users and far more money to lose when refunding it, so it simply won't happen. So then let's get back to Nintendo. They're the one company who's mostly avoided subscription services and streaming. NSO is a subscription service to Nintendo's retro games with online included on the side, but you can't actually stream the games, and you absolutely can't play the games outside of a Nintendo Switch. Prior to NSO, we had the Virtual Console, which was basically just another way for them to resell their retro games, and it worked out perfectly. Online was free for everyone to use, and if you wanted to play Mario Kart 64, then all you had to do was throw down $6 and have it for life. Or at least, if you bought a Wii, it's pretty safe to say you'll own it until the day your Wii croaks. The Wii U might be a different story, but only time can tell. Now, ultimately, as much as I hate being forced to subscribe to a service to play these old games, it does prevent the need for distributing temporary licenses. In a perfect world, Nintendo would sell their ROMs online for use anywhere, and if they did, I honestly think it'd solve most of their, quote, piracy issues. But everyone knows that will never happen. Okay then, what is the future of gaming? Well, I guarantee if there is a PlayStation 6 or an Xbox 720, they will be digital consoles with a heavy emphasis on their game subscription services. And for the Switch 3, or honestly whatever they do, it's really hard to say. Originally, I felt there was a possibility the Switch 2 would be digital only, but at this point, I have zero doubt in the fact it will have cartridges and it will have backwards compatibility. And for their following console, they might go digital only, but I also feel like they may completely change their console lineup altogether. At this point, it's too far to tell for sure, and Nintendo is too bipolar to predict even a year in advance. As for subscription services, again, it just doesn't feel like Nintendo. I may be looking at this through the lens of Wii Iwata days, but a subscription to all their latest games simply doesn't feel like Nintendo, and certainly can't be profitable either. So, through all this console turmoil, we at least have one thing to rely on. Nintendo will always be the same old stubborn Nintendo, and you'll never legally play Super Mario World on a PC. And to be honest, I like it that way. I enjoy owning my games, and I don't want to worry about a future where I could lose all my Breath of the Wild save data if I miss a few payments on my monthly Nintendo bill. But I do look forward to Nintendo's future, and to do that, I'll keep holding on to the past, and you can too by checking out my stream this Thursday the 25th as I continue my new Super Mario Bros. Marathon. But until then, smell the fresh air, and as always, keep cool. Bye.